Hello friends, welcome to the next part of Next.js 13 series. In this part we are going to cover the section areas of black and white, and also we'll cover all these footer here. So let's go ahead and get started. For this I'll go back to VS Code, and here inside the components folder I'll create a new file and I'll call this section. So section.jsx, and then we'll create our component. So it will be RFCE, and it's created. Now here inside this section we need first of all a styled container, so we can put all the data inside that. So for this I'll be using Material UI, so it will be a styled container. So, and this will be a box, so I'll say styled, and this should be just a box from Material UI. And here for all CSS properties we'll be using props, so that's why I'll open one parenthesis and again, and then inside this I'll create one curly braces, and here we can define all props we want to define. So here I'll say my color, so it will be our first, this will be the text color, and the second will be my BG color, so my BG color, and also my height and my width. So we can define everything just as prop, so we can have different height, width and color. So, and after this we need our function, of course, so let's create that also, and here we will define our CSS. Now first of all is text color, so it will be color, and I'll define my color props here for this, so like that. And then I'll be using the background, so it will be background color, I'll say just background, and it will be my BG color, so my BG color, so like that. And then my height, so let me use my height here, so it will be just height of course here, but we'll be using the props of my height. And then width, so width of this, and then we'll define this as my width, so like that. And now as we got this, so let's go ahead and use it. Now I'll just copy this one, but I'll be using this inside the React fragment, so instead of this div I'll just remove them, and here I'll be using that component, so styled component, and first of all here we type just section. Now if we use this like this, we won't see anything because we haven't defined all those CSS. So here I'll say my color or my BG color, whatever. Here I'll say the BG color of this, for example, will be black, and also my color of that should be something like white, so we can see the text. And also I'll give it width, and this should be my width like this, and I'll say here it will be 100% like that. And then we need my height, so, and for height here I'll say it is just like 200 pixels, so we can see the difference. Now let's save this, and after this we have to import this inside our index.js. So here I'll import that, so I'll say section. Now as you see we got the sections here, so it's imported, and let's save it. Now if we go back, you can see it's loading, and as you see we have forgot some imports, so let's bring our imports also. So here I have forgot this is styled from styled or Material UI, so it's coming from here, and also the box we need to import from Material UI, MUI material, and save it. And if we go back now, and as you see we got this section and it's looking as we want, but we are positioning this wrong, so we will be using this after hero, not before that. Save it, and if you go back you can see we got one section here, but as you see we are not covering all the screen, so let's see what's wrong. So if we come back here, And if we go to inside index.js, now as you see here, we got this class name which we don't need, and this makes this just container, so that's why let's remove this. And if you go back, as you see, it's covering everything. Now as we got the background color of black, the same way we can use different colors here, of course, in which we can make this my background color as white, and also my color will be black, so that way we can see everything. But we will be using all those inside the map, so we will be using some logic to create different sections for different categories. But for now it's enough to see the results, so let's go ahead and bring our cards here. Now before bringing our cards, I'll be using the container, because if we bring this like that just without container, it will just start from here. So the first card will be just here at start, but we want our cards also just as a container as here, so that's why we need to use the container here also. Now inside this container we'll be using this text first of all, so there will be two texts. One is the category name, and then the next one will be see more or watch more, whatever we call this. Now let's create this one. For this, I'll create one more component here, and I'll call this const, for example, styled box. Like that, a styled box, or you can say text box, whatever you call this, doesn't matter. Styled box, and it will be styled. And here inside this, of course, we need the box. So let me use the box here. So for this, we need some CSS, so let's go ahead and first of all, I forgot to use the parentheses here, and then we need the curly braces just like here. And then here I'll say the display of this should be as always flex, like that. And we say the flex direction, so we want everything as a row, so that's why I'll say flex direction of this will be row, like that. And then we need justify contents, so GCC or justify content, it should be center, and also align item center, like that. And after this we'll add some padding here, because we want to give some margin from top and bottom, and also to show this text as centered here. So here I'll define some padding from top, so it will be 20 pixel, and we need the right, so 20 pixel from right, and also from bottom, so I'll say it will be 10 pixel, and also from the left I'll say it will be 0 pixel, like that. And then we use this styled box here inside the container, so styled box, and we'll be using this just here. And here, as we are using material UI, so let me use typography here, so it will be typography, and close this. And here I'll say the name of the category, so for now I'll type just category name, like that, category name. And we define some style for this also, so let's say it's SX. And here first of all I said text transform, so I'll make everything capital letter, so it will be capitalized, like that. And then we need border bottom, so from bottom I'll give it some border so we can see that line here, so it will be 2 pixel and solid, and this should be black, but as we are using the background of black, so let's make this white. And also we need the width, so I'll say here the width of this will be just something like fit content, so it will be width, and I'll say it will be fit, and this should be content, so it will cover just as the text is, like that. And then what we need, we type wrong here, it will be width. And then what we need is the font weight, it should be bold, it will be bold, and save it. And if we go back, as you see it says container is not defined, and here I'll say instead of this container, so let's import this from MUI material, it's imported. I have my typography is here, yes. So let's go back, and as you see, we got this category name, which is looking beautiful. So let's go ahead and use the next text also here, and the next text of this will be just a box because we don't need any kind of CSS here. So it will be box, and I'll say it will be just a link. So let me use some a tag here, and href of this should be home for now, and I'll say see more, so we can see something more like that. Save it, and if we go back, now as you see, we got see more and category name, but we need to give some distance between them. Now for this, we'll be using the flex, so it's just easy here. As we got this typography, now what we can do is we can use another box here. So let me just type box here, box, and close this. And for this box, I'll say flex is equal to 1, and I'll be using this one, so control, and I'll bring this after this typography and save it. So if we go back, as you see, we got one flex different between these two boxes here. So that's why I have defined one box for this text here and one box also for our typography. Great. Now after this, we need also our cards here. So that's why we'll be using the grid of material UI. So I'll say UI material, I need the grid, and the first grid will be, as always, a container. So I'll type the container prop here, and then we need another component for this grid, so it will be grid item. For grid, I say here, and I'll just close this. Inside this, then we can bring our cards. But before bringing our cards, let's understand the division of the columns here. So as you see here, we got 3 cards here. Now to define 3 cards here, or just to show 3 cards here, we have to divide this container into 3 columns of 4 for each. So it will be 4 columns here and 4 columns here, and the same way 4 columns here. So together they will be 12 columns. One container or one div is always 12 columns. So if you wanted to use 4 cards here, you can just divide this by 3. In that way, then you will get all those 4 columns without any problem here. Now for now, I'll go here and I'll say the grid of this will be just from small to medium Excel. It should be just 4 columns for each card. Now let's go ahead and bring the cards here. So for this, instead of creating a new card or importing a new card, I'll go ahead inside Hero and copy one of these cards from here. Because we don't have an API yet, so we don't fetch any kind of data. So that's why we have to type everything on our own. Now instead of this, I'll just copy this one or one of cards from here and paste it inside the section. Of course, now we have to just import that card. So for this, I'll go ahead here and delete the last word, and from here now I can import this from our path of card, not MUI material. So now it's imported and everything is looking good, but image width here will be just 350, and also the image height will be slightly different, so it is 300. Now for my color, I'll say it will be just white, or we can just leave it without the color, as you wish. And then we got 18 pixel for font size, but for here I don't define any kind of font size here. So I'll remove that one. Then we got our title and description. We have to import this fab also. So let's import this from MUI material. Now as we got everything, so let's save this one and see the result. Now if we go back inside our website, now as you see we got our image and also the text here, but still we got some problems. So let's see our wrapper if we got any problem here. Now I got the styled box. Oh, I have wrapped everything inside a styled box, but it is just for the text, not for everything there. So that's why after this box of see more, I'll just paste that styled box ending here. So this styled box will be just for these two texts here. Now let's save this, and if we go back, now as you see, everything starts looking good now. But still we got some problem with the text here. So let's see what's wrong. But first of all, let's give it some more height here so we can see everything clearly. For this we got our styled container, and here we got this my height of 200 pixel. Now I want to everything adjust itself for now, so that's why I'll just remove that and save it. And if we go now here, as you see, everything is covered as we want. But here with the text there's some problem because this text is still black, and the reason is inside our cards we have defined some condition which says it should be black if there's no my color. So that's why for now I'll just remove it. So if there's no color, it will be just nothing like that, and I'll save it. And if we go back, you can see that other text is also here, and there's no changes in these cards also. Perfect. Now let's see why this text is coming here. So for this, we'll go back here and let's understand that also. Now instead of checking in card, we need the section. So inside the section, let's create some more grid also. But as you see, we got some problem here. Now React is case sensitive, and I have typed here the container in capital letter. So that's why we are getting all those problems. Now if I save this like that, and if you go back, as you see, everything is on its place and looking nice. So let's create some more cards here also. So 3 of them we need. So I'll just copy this one up to the fab, or we need the grid also because we will be repeating all the grid all the time. So we get all those 4 columns here. Now after this grid, I'll just paste this twice, but before saving that, I'll go ahead inside the browser, and here from pixabay.com, I'll just use some more images. So I'll be using this image of these 2 people from here. So let's go ahead and copy the image link like that, and I'll be replacing that from here so we can see a little bit different inside each cards. So this one is here, and also we need some more. So we'll be using this New York, or let's use this one, it's cute. So copy image link, and I'll go ahead and use this instead of that second card's image. So I'll just replace this one also and save it. And if we go here now, as you see, it says pixabay.com is not configured. We have configured this last time, but let's see if we don't. For this, we go to next.config.js, and we got cdn.pixabay.com, but we have to define all the Pixabay website also because some pictures are coming directly like this, or they have created some changes. So I'll be using that here, and now it should be okay, but it's not running because if you make any kind of changes inside your config file, you have to rerun your server. So I'll cancel the terminal and run this again. And now if we go back and refresh this, it should just work fine. And as you see, we got our website, and if we come back here, you can see we got those images, but one of them is not working. So let's use some other image. So let's use this one from here. Copy image link, and I'll go ahead and change that image. So it is SVG, so that's why it's not working. I'll just use a JPEG, so that's great. Now if we go here, now as you see, we got those 3 images and everything is looking nice here. So let's go ahead and create a button here and try to read more, just as we did here. So as you see, inside the black sections we got this read more button also, but in white we don't have. So we will filter everything as we created our API inside our map, but for now let's just create this and leave it just like that. And here I'll go ahead, just stop here and create one button here. So I'll say const styled and button, just like that, and this should be equal to, and I'll say styled, and here I'll say box, and then we need our function. So now we can define here our CSS. So for here I'll say border, and then I'll give it some border of 1 pixel, solid it should be, and also the color should be white because the background will be black. And also here we need width, so I'll say width, and the width of this should be something like 120 pixel. And then we need the padding, so let's go ahead and give it some padding of just 1. And then we need also cursor, so cursor, and I'll say the cursor of this should be pointer, and also text align, so text align, it will be center. So now I'll save this, and then we can use this inside our text container. Now after this author, we'll be using that here, so like that, and then we need just close this one. Now here inside this we can just type read more, but if we do it like this, then in every card we will have this button, and that's what we don't want. Now to solve this problem, what we can do is we can just come back here and create a prop. So I'll say here props.button, so like that. If there's a prop with the name of button defined in the card, then it should do this. So we have to define a condition. Then it should just show this styled card or styled button, so it will use that. Otherwise, so after this parenthesis we define our next condition, so else it should be nothing. So if we got a button prop, so like that, then it should show this button here, otherwise it should show just nothing. But as you see, we got also this text read more, and it's just static, but we can make this also as prop. So we can say here props dot button text, because later on if we do need to change that button text also according to categories, we can do this also. So that's it for the button. Now let's save it and let's see the result. Now if we go back here, we don't see anything because we haven't done anything, we haven't passed any kind of button prop here. So let's go ahead, and after this edit button, I'll just go ahead and put that also. So here we can pass a prop, and I'll say its button is equal to, and I'll just give it some name, so I'll say button. So that way we'll get that button, but also as we pass the button text, so we have to define that also. So I'll say button text, and this should be equal to, so here I'll say it is read more, like that. Save it, and if we go back, now as you see we got that read more text just in this card because we are using that in just one card, but later on we will be using in map, so this way it will be appeared in every card we want. But for now let's define this also in others so we can see them, or we can just leave it like that, because for our white colors we also don't have any kind of conditions, so that's why if we create a new section it will be just with read more. So that's what we don't want. For now we need to just copy all this styled container to show our next category. So that's too much, but we have to do this to see the example, otherwise we can't see anything. So let's use that also. But in our new styled components or styled container, we'll be using the background color of white, and also the my color will be black. So that's also what we have to condition inside the map. We'll be doing that as we get the API, but for now let's save this just like that so we can see our result here. Now as you see, we got the second section also, which is looking just nice, and as everything is here. Perfect. Now as we got this one, so let's go ahead and take care of the footer. Now for the footer, we'll go back here and close everything, so everything will be cleared. Now let's go ahead inside the components. Now inside these components, we'll create a new component, and I'll call this footer.jsx. Now let's create its component also, so I'll say rfce like that and save it. We got our footer. Now we can put our footer just below our section here, so let's put this one here. We will say footer, and it's imported, close it and save it. And if we go back, you can see here we got the footer text. So let's go ahead and design this one also. Now as we are using all the time the flexbox, so let me copy paste some data instead of typing everything, so that way we get faster to our project. And also I'll explain everything, so don't worry about anything here. So for this I got some imports. So for that, first of all, we need some imports. So let's go ahead and remove that React, and here we need the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter icons from Material UI, and then we need box, container, stack, styled to style new components, text field to type something, and typography for the text. That's all what we need as imports. And then for now, for the demonstration purposes, we need a list of data so we can show the categories here. For example, this will be all these category names here. So to show them, I don't have any API, so that's why we'll be using a list of data. So for this, I'll just paste some data here. So it's coming here. I have called this cat list. You can call this category list. And inside this, we pass one ID and also a key of name. So ID and name will be there. And according to this, we will fetch all the data like that. And then we need to start our coding. Now here we got our div. So instead of this, I'll be covering everything inside a box. So let's import the box also. It's I think imported. So let's close this one. Now inside this box, we can define our container. So to make everything centered, I'll be using container just like that and close it. So for this for this box, we need some SX. So here I'll say the background. So background, and the background of this will be something like black. So it's black. You can choose any color of your choice. And here I'll say the height of this will be 100%. But for now, if we use 100%, we can't see anything. So that's why I'll say 500 pixel. So that way we will be able to see all the result like that. And then we need all the data here, but for now let's save this and see the result and see if everything is working. Now if we go back here, now as you see, we got all the placeholder here. So let's go ahead and inside this container continue coding. Now here again I'll be using the box, so it will be a box. So let me copy this one also. And now here we paste all the data. So I have pasted CSS of box, and let me explain this. So it's just a flex box, displays flex, flex direction will be row, and the flex wrap will be wrap. So which means if it doesn't find any place inside the container, it will just come down. So that way it will be also responsive. And also I gave this padding top of 80 pixel, so we have some good padding from the top also. So now inside this box we'll be pasting our social media and also the blog name. So here I'll paste it, but let me first show you what I mean. So if you come here, you see we got this text here and also these social media icons. That's what I have pasted for now. So let me explain you. Now it starts from this stack here and it has a flex of 1. So this box is flex box, so it will take just a flex of 1. Inside this, from margin from left, it will be just 1, so they get a little bit margin from each other. And inside this we got two constants with the name of logo2. So let's import that also. So I'll go ahead and create that constant. So it will be just above this list or below this list. It will be font weight of 800, font size of 18 pixel, and the color of white. And we are styling this time a div. So that's what this logo 2 is doing, but you can name it anything you want. For now I'll just leave it like that. So we are putting all those two logos inside a stack, so that way we get this direction here as a column, so they will be on top of each other. After that I have started another stack, and the flex direction of this will be row, because we want to show everything in one line and not in a column just like here. And also the cursor of this will be pointer and margin right of 3. And after that I have just imported and used the Instagram, Twitter and Facebook icons, and I have defined some color prop. The first one will be warning, the second will be primary, so it will be just an orange color. These two will be blue colors, just like that. And I'll save it, and if we go back we should see the same result. Now as you see, we got this column and also a row of our social media icons. So next we have to create this table here, in which we will show our categories and also the subscription and sign up button here. So let's go ahead and see how to do this. So for this, after this box we need some stack, so we have everything as flex box because they are also as a row and everything is flex. So I'll be using the stack here. So for that, as I'm using the stack, so I'll paste the stack CSS, and let's close this one also. So close stack, just like that. And inside this stack we'll be using all our data. So here I have just set the flex direction of this, and from small devices it should be just row, and inside this we'll be using all our data. Now first of all I'll need a box, so I'll just paste that here. In this box we got the flex of 1, as it's a flex box, so we got a flex of 1, so we get half of the screen. And then I have defined a margin top of 8, and then I have defined some SX, so some CSS, and here I have said the border top will be 0.1 pixel solid white, and border bottom will be 0.1 pixel solid white, so we get that same borders here, just like that. So after this we need to of course close this box, otherwise we'll get some error. And inside this box I have used the list of our data. Now we are just mapping here, so for this I'll just paste some data here. So here we need to create these two items. The first one is list, the second is the list item, and inside that we have used the cat list, which is all our categories. So after that we'll fetch everything as cat, so and then we'll be using the key, so category.id, and also for the name category.name, which will just come from this list. So now to use those we have to define our list and list item too. So let's import the CSS of them also. I'll just paste it here, and as you see it is just a normal constant of list, and it's styled, and we are styling a div and not a box. And then I have set the font weight of this just 300. The color of this will be white because our background is black, and then we got the margin top 20, so we'll get 20 margin from here. So that's why we need this margin top from each of them, and then margin bottom of 70 pixel, and also the display of them will be flex, otherwise they will just overlap and come here, or it will not look just like here. So we have defined the display of flex, and flex wrap should be wrap, because if they doesn't find a place here, for example, if we give them just half of the container, if they don't find any place here, if the text is too long, it will just break up and come here instead of making some problem or some overlapping. And then the max width of this, I have said it should be 480 pixel, and then the contents should be center, and also aligned items will be center. Now all these list CSS will apply to every list item. And then for list item, I have used the A tag, and here we have defined some margin. So from top it will be 20 pixel, from right it will be 0, from bottom 5 pixel, from left 0. Then I have defined a width which is 150 pixel, and the cursor of them will be pointer. Now we save this like that, and if we go back, now as you see we got everything accordingly. So everything is looking nice and beautiful. So here we got our list, then we got our map, and for each cart content we have used the list item, and we are showing every category name inside each list item here. And then after this, in the side of that, so here in this area we will put all those inputs here, so the users can type their email address and first name, last name, and they can just sign up or subscribe to our blog. So for this, let me paste something also. So after this box, I'll be using a new box here. And remember, you have to use these two boxes inside of just one flex, because otherwise it will just go below this, so it will be here and not in the side here, like that. And now from this box it will take also flex of 1, margin top of 8, and also we need to define some CSS. Now the CSS is not something different, but just as we did before, 0.1 pixel solid border, and also from bottom, and also we need border left, so it gave us this line here, so that's why we need this border left. It will be just the same thing like here, and also the display of this will be flex direction will be column, because we want to show everything on top of each other and not as a row, like that. And the justify content as always center, align items center. The first typography will be subscribe to coding straight, so this is here, this will be this text here, and then we will use our text inputs. Now inside material UI5 we'll be using text field, which is imported from material UI5, so we'll be using this one for our text inputs here. Now this has an ID, you can give it any kind of ID you want, and the variant of this which I have used is a standard, and the color of this I have used info, so it will be a blue color, and also placeholder. You can define for each text field a placeholder, so for the first one will be first name, for the second will be last name, and for email just email, and they will show up just like this here. And then we got some input props, and here we have used the style, so we have said we need this color of white, the border bottom of 2 pixels solid white, and width of 300 pixels. Now let me save this one and show you the result, and after that I'll define you what this input props means. So if we go back, as you see, we need first of all to import something. We don't got this styled button, so let's import that styled button here. So this styled button is just from our card, so let's export that also. We'll just export this button from here, and then we need to import this in our footer. So styled button, now it's coming from card, and save it, then we should see no problem. Now as you see, we got borders here. So if we click on it, you see we got just one line here. Now the point is here, if you go to MUI5, so MUI.com, like this, if you go here and search for text field, inside this, if you come back here, you will see this standard and it will have a different style, which is not just like Bill Gates is doing. Now for Bill Gates blog, now as I'm copying everything from Bill Gates blog, so we have to use just the same design like here. Now to define different design for any text field here, for example, to just remove this border from the top here or remove it from the left and right, for this we need this input props here. So if you put input props and double curly braces, then use a style, then you can define your own style. This way it will override the normal style of that component. So here I said color of white, border bottom of 2 pixels solid white, and the width will be 300 pixels. That way it have removed everything else. So if we go back, now as you see in standard, we got this standard text. If we click on this, it goes just in the top. But if we go here, now as you see, nothing happens. It just shows some animation here, but nothing else. So with that being said, now let's go ahead and create this one here. Now this is just a flexbox. It's easy. Now for this also we need VS Code, of course. And here after this stack, because if we put this inside the stack, it will just show up also in this list of our data. That's what we don't want. So that's why I'll be just pasting everything below this stack here. So like that. And then let me explain everything here. And here we got a box with a color of gray and also display of flex, justify content center, align item center, flex wrap, just as always. Here I have got some gap also to give them this difference. So the gap means they will get this distance here. So that's why I'm using gap of 3 and margin top of 5. So they should get some margin top from here. Otherwise, if you don't want, you can remove that and they will show up just in the middle here. I have copied everything, as I said, from Bill Gates' blog. So that's why it should be just like this. So, and after that, we got a typography, and the variant is body of 1, which is a paragraph. Inside this, if you type in copy, you will get this sign of copyright. And then we got the date or the year of copyright. So now it will be 2023, and then your company name. For me, it's Coding Straight LLC. And then I have put some links, so it's also coming from Next link. So if you import this, it should be from Next link. So let's import that also. Now here I'll say import link from here will be Next, and we need link. So we'll import the link from Next link, and then we have some href. It will go to our privacy page. The second one should go to the terms of use, and the third one to the contacts page. Just like that, and you close it. Now if we save this, and if you go back, we will get that also here. Now as you see, we get some difference here because we have used the height of 500 pixels for our footer. Now if you want to cover everything, you can just go back here and say that the height of this should be 100%. So like that, and save it. And if we come back, as you see, we have covered everything. Now everything is looking just the same. For now, that's it guys. For the UI, we are done with everything. We got our sections, our footer, we got our hero, and we got our navbar, and also the sign up and login, and everything is done. What else we need is just the API to fetch all the data, and then we will show all our data from our API, not just dummy like here. So for now it's enough, and I hope you have learned everything. So if you like the video, please press the thumbs up button, and also don't forget to subscribe the channel and share this course with your friends. See you in the next part.